Good evening. I'd like to call, it seems like a long time since we've been here. I'd like to call together the City of Lake Forest Park and Recreation Board meeting for March 13th, 2012 at the City Hall of Lake Forest, Illinois. Thank you all for coming. Our first item is we would like to welcome John Eldridge, who's one of our new athletics program supervisor. And I'm going to put him on the spot and ask him to come up to the podium and give us a little background and take up some of our time.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I guess a little background about myself. I started working with the City of Lake Forest the summer of 2007 as a camp counselor for the adventure camp that we offer. I graduated from Western Illinois University in 2009 with my degree in Bachelor's of Science, studying Recreation, Park, and Tourism Administration. Since then, I worked part-time with the City of Lake Forest at the Rec Department, running athletic programs, working at the fitness center, special events, pretty much every area that you can within the department. At that same time, I was going to school for my master's in business administration at North Park University of Chicago. I'm going to get my MBA this May, so I graduate there, and then, was lucky enough to get this great opportunity of athletics program supervisor this winter.
Great. And what are you going to be doing this spring? What athletics are you going to be?
Well, baseball is the big thing that's coming up. I'm in charge of first and second grade coach pitch, and then also third and fourth grade minor league baseball. And then also this summer, it will be Superstars Camp.
Great.
And then also girls softball. I'm in charge of all those leagues as well.
Great.
And adult softball, too.
My whole family has been involved in every single thing you just mentioned.
Good. Yeah, those are great programs.
They are great programs. So welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of January 10th, 2012.
I'll make a motion.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay. With this wonderful weather, I've already seen people out playing on the golf course, and I think we're going to be like that for the next few weeks. So tonight we have our Superintendent of Special Facilities, Jeff Waite, on the Deerpath Golf Course operations and a marketing update.
Thank you very much. We're really excited about the last couple of weeks at the golf course with the weather. We've seen people come out, doing a round, getting out on the course, so it's really something great to see that the season is just right around the corner. To begin this presentation, I'm going to ask Rick Walrath, our general manager, to come up just to talk about what is new for this coming season.
Good evening.
Hi, Rick.
I'd like to reiterate our excitement on the season. Although it did sneak up very quickly, we're glad to have it, and hopefully it can continue on without any interruptions. What I'd like to focus on is our golf shop, most importantly. It's the biggest change that everybody's seen, and as I commented to Jeff after this past weekend was pretty busy, and we had about a 75% wow factor. Of 170 some folks that came in through the door, about 75 of them, as soon as they took one step inside the door, stopped and said, wow. So I think that was a pretty straightforward appreciation of the things that we had done there. The remodel that you've either heard about or you're going to see some photos of, what has happened in there is we have replaced some antiquated fixtures, some things that served their purpose for many, many years. And we've upgraded them with some new display fixtures. It's got a nice warm cherry wood kind of a feel, so it has a little bit more of a club atmosphere, not nearly as utilitarian as what we'd had in the past. We put down some fresh coats of paint. We've got all the floors, both tile and carpet, cleaned. Rearranged the golf shop so there's a different pattern, a different flow. Both entrance doors will be utilized in the golf shop now, whereas in the past one was an employee-only entrance. So we have pretty much just through reorganization freed up anywhere between 25 and 30% more saleable space on the floor. One of the things that's been allowed us to do is bring in a significant amount of significant higher amount of merchandise, and didn't really go whole hog this year. One of the things that I would like to study a little bit is what type of products, what level of products, what price points of products move. But we are going to have a significant increase in lines and a significant increase in the depth of those lines, both what we call soft goods and hard goods, both the clothing lines and the equipment lines. One of the things that really has helped us benefit and turn around this project fairly quickly is the new relationship, obviously, the city has with Kemper. The fixtures we were able to acquire from a Kemper Sports property that's remodeling for literally pennies on the dollar. And this is a versatile and really handsome equipment that we're going to keep in the golf shop for many years. Part of that relationship is also turned into getting these products turned around and brought into the golf shop sooner than normally would have happened. We were able to get higher discounts than the city has paid, so we're getting things cheaper, the same products cheaper than in past years. So hopefully all those things add up in a retail sense to a much better quality, selection of quality. People will tend to think of us in terms of purchasing all their equipment instead of going down the road to the big box stores. And if we can continue that wow factor for the rest of the year, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Great. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
This year, one of the things that came out of our golf advisory committees is to place the instruction program under one umbrella. So we have developed or renamed the lesson program our Deerpath Golf Academy. And we do have a great relationship with Richard Franklin, who does the Circle Systems golf instruction. He also utilizes the Flight Scope 3D Doppler radar tracking system in his programming. So to be able to put all the instruction under the umbrella of the Deerpath Golf Academy and utilizing this unique technology, we're going to be able to provide a better service or a different type of service to our members. We are going to be offering a variety of different lessons, camps, clinics throughout the summer targeting both men, women, and juniors. So we'll see not only that private or semi-private instruction, but we're also going to get into the three-week camp for junior golfers or a weekend instructional school to help you improve your game. One of the new things for the golf course is we are going to be utilizing reflectors for rangefinders. Everybody's got the Bushnell or the Laser Link, so they can really zoom in on how far they are from the pin, so they can have some better accuracy when it comes to their ball placement. Through the Kemper relationship, they're going to be bringing in the true service customer experience to our employees. So we're going to see an enhanced customer service presentation, both inside, outside at the course, as well as on the telephone and in person with our members and guests. And to show you what it looks like, this is the golf shop in 2011. You can see that we've got a lot of things on the wall. We've got big display cases, and we have just a lot of stuff going on. And this is what it looks like now. You can see the cherry wood cabinetry, the color paint that we have that goes really well with the carpeting. This is another view, just back here. That's the door in the background. There is the door that is now going to be able to utilize what that was in the past just used for staff entrance because of the cabinetry that was in front of that. This is what it looks like today. And this is where we're going to be checking in. This is in the southwest corner of the the golf shop. That's a marble top with cherry wood. You can't see it, but there's a closet back behind there that nobody knew existed. So we're going to be able to utilize that for some storage, which we need in the golf shop. So
what used to be there, Joe? I'm trying to visualize where that is now. Sorry, I haven't been out there yet.
Yeah, right where you see the line where the tileless towel is. Yeah. Just to the left of that is where the cabinet used to be. The mirror and chrome, or excuse me, the glass and chrome cabinetry. Okay. Right. I believe they had a display, things on the wall, as well as shoes and some other clothing, glass cabinetry.
Got it, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it looks like there's again the color wall that we have throughout where we have walls. Sorry. The golf advisory, we have a great group of members that are working with us to help turn Deerpath around or put it on a better financial footing. We started back in December 14th, 2011, and we have been busy since. We meet either, well, Mary and I meet almost weekly with either the committee of the whole or a subcommittee. They did decide to break down the whole committee into subcommittees. We have the Programs and Services Committee, which is really focusing. This is the committee that actually suggested that we put the instruction under the Deerpath Golf Academy. So that was really nice to be able to get that input from them, and then go to Richard Franklin, our contractor, who was very, he was very gracious about being able to do that for us. So some of the items that they're going to be working on is we have events throughout the summer, starting with a kickoff on May 5th. We have a parent-child event on Father's Day. We'll have tea events throughout the year, holiday tea events. There's a member guest type of event. So the membership will see some more programming originating out of Deerpath. We have a benchmarking committee that is taken some items that they want to really track throughout the season, and they've broken it down into two areas that they're going to focus in on. Some primary goals, which are just the number of rounds, number of memberships, total revenue, expenses that they'll want us to track, make sure that we're hitting our mark, so that if we need to make adjustments, that we'll know early on that we need to be, what we're going to be able to do, or work with Kemper to make sure that we make those adjustments. The other thing would be operational goals. That means practice range revenue per round, merchandise revenue per round, the number of lessons, the food and beverages per round. We did talk to D&D, the gentlemen that own Bluffingtons, and they're going to be coming back for the summer, and they've agreed to put in one of our point of sale systems in there, so we can help them track, so we can kind of get a true feeling of what is either being generated or not being generated from the grill. The other thing is marketing, and we've got a lot of different initiatives going on right now for marketing. We're doing more email blasts. We've got flyers, posters around town. We're going to be getting a new website, which will help us do some more email campaigning, so that we can reach our members and our guests, so that we can kind of generate some more round revenue. Some of the special things that we're looking at is make Deerpath your club is something that we sent out to new members, just to tell them that it's time to come back to Deerpath, get the incentive program, which is you get the free carts and the free range for the entire month of April. You get a 1-month membership to the fitness center. There's a $50 off the Fred Jackson Golf Classic for the summer. So there's a nice little package that we've got for people coming back. We got this really unique program going to be starting for non-for-profits. It's Make Mondays Matter. So every Monday throughout the season, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, if someone comes in and says, I'm with Mother's Trust Foundation, we're going to give or collect $2 from that round to give back to that not-for-profit. In fact, Mother's Trust was really excited about that. They've already talked to Rick about enrolling, so they're going to be referring people to come out to Deerpath, and for that, we're going to give back them, $2 for every round that comes in on their behalf. We also have a new member referral program, which again is for a not-for-profit. They refer a member to us that hasn't been a member in the prior year, and we'll give them a foursome of golf with cart and a $50 credit to the golf shop for referring that member. They can in turn use that foursome for a silent auction or for or rewarding a special client of theirs. So it's really a win-win for both us and that organization. I'd like to point out the slide. What you see there is that, what we're trying to do with Deerpath is really brand it to my club is Deerpath. One of the things from the golf advisory is they want that club feeling. They want people to say, my club is Deerpath. They want that pride. So we're tagging or branding everything that we do with my club is Deerpath, and we're using the blue and yellow throughout all of our print materials. Rick's also having staff wear yellow and blue shirts for events and stuff like that. So we want to really make sure that when you see the yellow and blue, that's Deerpath. 2012 membership. Before I show this slide, just to let you know, we've made up a lot of ground since this came out. So as you can see, from January 1st to March 17th, we'll show a comparison between 2011 and 2012, and you can see there how the membership breaks down from resident and non-resident, and you can see the total is 261 to 171, and since Saturday, we are now only 15% off of where we were last year at this time. So we've made up a considerable amount of ground from that time. And the reason why we're down on this slide is we took away the early bird incentive. So we didn't have that. We didn't see a lot of revenue come in February, which really was the cutoff last year for the early bird special. We made up a lot of ground with the lottery coming up this weekend, so everybody in order to qualify for the lottery, Tea Time Lottery, they had to get in their membership, so that also made up a lot of that ground. So you can see we eliminated the early bird incentive, and early on, Rick and I realized we were a little behind on our membership sales, so he did a lot of calling individuals, just let them know, hey, we'd like to hear from you, that stuff. We did also send out email blasts to the membership from last year, reminding them that it's time to get your membership. We sent out a mailing that went to Lake Bluff and Lake Forest residents to remind them of the incentive programs. So that went out. So again, we made up that difference.
Hey, Jeff, for those that are choosing not to re-up their membership, are they given reasons?
At this point, I don't believe they really have. We haven't heard any complaints about the rate was too high, or you did away with the early bird incentive. Nothing like that. It was just, I think it was just more of just a timing issue at this point. With the weather that's coming out, and an email blast that we're going to be sending out a week from Friday, as well as a letter that goes out to the membership, and it's going to spark them once again to come out and put in their membership. Yeah, just so one of the things that Rick did some research and found out between March 10th and the end of May, we sold 93 memberships just during that time period. So we really expect to recapture a good majority of those, and we should hit or even exceed our target memberships.
What is your target?
It's 394. We were at 374 last year. We expected, or we set a goal of having an additional 20.
That's resident, non-resident?
Yeah, it's just, we put the additional 20 in individual residents. So, who's your phone? 235?
We sold 3 or 4 more, so 235 as of today.
That's great.
So we're 235 out of the target of 390?
Correct, and at this point last year, we were at 268. So we were just 13 or so % down from last year.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So for the 2012 season, opening day, we're having the hard opening is this Saturday, which is also the Tea Time Lottery. We start the Tea Time Lottery at 9 o'clock. People are already reserving their tea times for this weekend because it's supposed to be a great weekend. We're also having a little meet and greet for Rick, and to have everybody come and take a look at what we've done with the golf shop. Also during that time period, there's 20% off of all regular sale price items, so it'd be a great opportunity to get a great deal, see our selection, meet Rick, and the driving range will be open on this weekend, so we're really excited that the season is here.
So for procrastinators like me that haven't bought a membership yet, this very attractive incentive package is available through the end of March?
Yes, you have
Correct?
to, yeah,
Okay.
yes. And it's, again, it's free driving, free range, free carts for the entire month of April. The fitness center membership, $50. I'm sorry, let me just back up. It's the 1 month pass to the fitness center for April. The 10% off of any, or excuse me, 10% above cost of any irons in the shop, as well as $50 off the Fred Jackson Golf Classic entry fee.
It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Can you quickly explain in a little more in depth what the true service is from Kemper? Or
Sure, you know what, I'll let Rick address that. Yeah.
The True Service Program is a proprietary customer service training program they've put together, utilizing the best practices that they've found over the last 30 years. And it's a scenario where you're putting the staff members that you're training together in a classroom type environment, and they're learning from paper, they're learning from video, there's some interactive seminar portions of it. It's anywhere from 2 to 3 hours worth of training split out over a couple of different sessions with a little bit of homework in between. And I think that everybody realized most of the customer service things, there's no real secrets, it's just attention to detail. And a lot of the instruction, a lot of the video that you go through is having folks try to pick out those things. An example would be you watch a little 2-minute clip of a customer interaction on the telephone of somebody taking a tee time or having a tee time canceled. And how did the customer service agent interact with that person? What did they do correctly? What did they do maybe that they could work on a little better? Other clips show folks showing up to the golf course and how they were greeted and how they were brought into the facility. And you always have the A player who does everything right, and then in the background is a guy with his hat on backwards and his shirt untucked. And you point out those things and you discuss with the employees. You discuss with your employees you're training where the positives are and where the room for improvement is. Along with the true service training is what they call their true review program, what Kemper calls their true review program. It is a after service survey that goes out to, if you play golf at our facility, you'll receive, and you made a reservation, we will have gathered your email address if we don't already have it, and you'll receive a follow-up small 5-question survey. So it's very brief. They found responses actually pretty good. Historically, surveys, especially online surveys or email surveys, you don't get a very high level of response, but they've been able to double the average just by limiting it to only 5 questions, and they're fairly broad-based. They then track the scores from those questions and end up with customer service ratings for these specific areas. And I can tell you from having gone through my first leadership seminar with Kemper Sports that the company as a whole takes it very seriously, and they give out plenty of awards to those facilities that show the greatest level of improvement over the course of a year, and those facilities that have the highest rankings in each categories. So it's something that they're significantly committed to, and I think that we're going to reap tremendous benefits at Deerpath from.
Great.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about food service? You mentioned that we're sticking with the D&D. Are they planning any changes this year?
Not to my knowledge, other than they were open to and happy to have part of our new point of sale system in their area. They think it's going to help their service level. And one of the things that Jeff and Mary and I discussed that's going to be a real benefit for the city is we can actually value that service now. We know that the food and beverage operation at Deerpath encompasses $200,000 in sales or $180,000 in sales or whatever that number is. We'll have the actual data on it. We'll be able to collect the data and figure out dollars per round spent in food and beverage. That'll impact future contracts and RFPs for folks who are interested in that business, and we know what the value is and we can adjust the rent accordingly.
Are they open this weekend too, or when do they start for the summer?
They will have they will have a buffet service just for the lottery, and then they will operate kind of a snack service for the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
They are obligated to be open by April 1st, and they are intending to be open on April 1st.
And what will Richard's schedule be this year? Is he going to be more full-time?
He will be
Deerpath?
full-time at the
Okay.
facility, yes. He's indoor currently, obviously, doing the instruction inside, and then this Friday we'll take down all of that and rebuild the restaurant service area. And with the good weather, it's going to be a very easy transition to get the instruction out onto the range starting Saturday.
Has information on the clinics and camps gone out already? Has it gone out in the rec center camp guide and other ways?
Yes, it has. Not only through the seasonal brochure, but we also put it in the golf brochure, which did not go out this year to all residents of Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, but we did put it onto the deerpathgolf.com website, so it is listed on there. Just a point of clarification. Richard is an independent contractor of the city. He's not a full-time employee, so just to make sure that was clear.
But he'll be here.
He's going to be very busy.
Good.
Yeah, he will. He's going to be very busy. We're excited about that.
He's already had so much interest in his programs this summer that he's hiring additional staff right now. So he's gone out and really been interacting a lot with the youth in the community, and got several of his youth camps are already filled, so he's looking at expanding those. So he's really, we really see a positive direction headed for our lesson program as well.
How did the indoor thing work out for him? Did he get a lot of business this winter?
He has, he's done fairly well. Again, that's just something that's new that'll give us an additional opportunity to make sure that we get the word out about that. But converting the restaurant into a kind of a teaching center with the big netted cage and everything is a lot better suited for what he's trying to do than where he was previously.
Your special events, which sound great so far, they're not member-only events, correct?
That's correct.
So
there's one particular event, ironically enough, entitled Member. It's a tournament where it's exclusively made up of 2 members, but all of them are open to the public, and we'll market them and advertise them, trying to draw from the public.
That's what I was going to ask. How is that going to be marketed? Because you don't have the emails for everybody. Are you going to send out more mass mailings, or how is that going to?
Correct. Part of the real benefit of the new point of sale system is it's a lot easier data collection, and it has a lot faster turnaround time for immediate communication, rather than building an email through a long process and getting out. They have a lot of pre-booked. They've been working in the golf business so long, they know what kind of specials you're going to put out, what kind of advertising you're going to do. You refine your data, you refine your offering, and they've got the look pre-packaged. And you can send it out and quantify by folks who played last week, folks who have a handicap of this high, only ladies, only guys, only juniors. So it really allows you to contact just the folks you want. So marketing to our current customers will be very easy. The website will be redone and much friendlier, so we'll be able to utilize that. We've got some money set aside that we're going to actually do some marketing and advertising for a few of these events. So we will reach out to the general public as well as the Deerpath golfer.
And Rob, we can also use our Constant Contact, which is our database through the rec center for like the family events, or those that we're doing more of the broad appeal for, our customers that use the rec services too. So we'll have the dual databases this year.
Wonderful.
Sounds like we're off to a great start.
Yeah,
Keep
that's
it going.
great. Any other
Thanks.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next, a Townline Community Park Playground presentation by Chuck Myers.
Good evening.
Hey, Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
All right. All right, I'm here to talk about the proposal that we put together for the new playground at Townline. And just a little bit of a background. As you know, the park was dedicated back in 2009, and there was an original design to, it was originally designed to have a playground in it over by the pavilion ball field area. We think this will be a great addition for the park users, but also neighbors and the ball field users. A lot of people have commented how nice it's going to be to watch one child playing baseball and have a playground right behind them. So it's been received, the calls that we've gotten, the meeting we had. A lot of people are really excited about it. So staff has worked with New Toys, Leisure Products, and put together a design and a purchase agreement for that HGAC buy consortium. We also had a public meeting last month and received feedback about 2 options that we presented. That was 2 different equipment options that were similar, but it had a few features that we wanted to get some feedback on. I'm just presenting the one that was chosen unanimously tonight, but staff also liked this design as well. And we'll get into some surfacing options, but from here on out, when I say options, I'm talking about the surface, not the playground. And then also, just wanted to mention that we are looking at doing this in-house again. Last year we did that at Waveland. We had our staff install it. Just so you know that in general, that is usually valued at about 40% of the cost of the equipment itself, which is about $80,000. So if we were to have it installed by a contractor, it'd be about $32,000. Just a quick aerial view of the park. Obviously there in the red, you can see it right next to the pavilion. And then a ground's eye view, it would go right in front of between the path and the pavilion, and then you can see the ball fields on the side. So the playground itself, this is the one that we decided to go with. Just a few highlights on it. It was designed to be for multi ages, anywhere from toddler up to 12 years old. We do have some, the next slide I'll show you has some of the features, but we did put a landscape plan with this with stone features that will match the pavilion and some native type plantings, again, similar to what's on the other side, so it would be highlighted with that. A number of trees around the structure that will provide shade for the benches. So this is just a different view. You can see we did add an extra set of swing sets. There is there's 3 sets now, a toddler, a regular, and then the handicap. You can also see that there is a large web structure again, similar to what we had at Waveland. Then that object that you see in the foreground there, I don't know if there's you can see that bowl-shaped, that's kind of a modern version of a merry-go-round, very safe and much different than the old style that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
So the
is that the color scheme we're thinking, Chuck?
That is the color scheme. Again, it's very similar to Waveland with the green and the tans. The roof, I will point out that you'll see in the packet there is a price for cedar shake. That's not included in our proposal. We are looking into doing that. It can be done. The price that we were quoted was rather high. It would have added quite a bit. Each roof would have been another $2,800. So we're trying to do that in-house. So if anything, we should be lowering this if that comes through, and we like the look of it a lot. So it'll fit in better, I think, as well. So the playground surfacing options, I'll get into that. There's basically 3 options. The first one is with 5R, the wood fiber product that we used to use at all the playgrounds. Of course, you know about the poured in place that we've installed at Waveland, but the first one is just with 5R. That's the one that as we put this together with the budget we had, that fits into the budget. It's not really staff's preference, nor was it the public meeting. A lot of people brought up that they really like the rubber surface. It's cleaner. We like it as well, but that one does stay within the budget. The second option is for you to consider the poured in place for the whole structure. and that would go under the swings, under the web structure, everything. Yeah, the next slide will show a little bit about the area, but that one, again, just, you know, some of the things that staff likes about it is the minimal maintenance required, the cleaner, nicer look, all that, you know, just adds to the enjoyment out there. It does not decay, you know, it's a long-lasting surface, and, you know, it's just something that we prefer out there, but we understand the budget, and that's why we gave these different options. So the slide shows the full in tan, or that's if we do the whole thing. You can see the area on the right that would be excluded. That's by the web and by a portion of the swing sets. Obviously, the one that's still in pink there is the handicap, so it would still have access. So that option would be the combined 5R, similar to what you've seen at Waveland.
Did we do that at Waveland, Chuck?
Yeah,
we have
combined.
one swing accessible?
No,
I don't remember doing that.
We don't have one of the swings accessible with the rubber. It's all 5R. So it's similar to this, but the swings at Waveland are all 5R.
Okay.
I know you can't see this that well. It's in your packet, though, the numbers. Just to run through them quickly, option 1 is the 5R. The revenue is listed on the top there. You can see that for option 1, 2, and 3, it's all $69,000 that would come out of the referendum money. That is the remainder of the referendum money. Then the special recreation tax levy funds would cover the rest of the equipment. And we'd be seeking to buy the equipment right away this year in the 12 budget. So those two would be the same for all options. The next line is park and public land fund. That would be the same. That's the $30,000 that we have budgeted in CIP. That's the same for all of them. And then the next portion would be the special recreation tax levy, again in 13. That would be the same, $3,481 for each of the playgrounds. The difference comes in with the extra cost of the rubber, the poured in place rubber. So as you can see, the total cost of option 1, $113,000, and then the poured in place brings it up to $167,000, and then that combination brings it back down to $147,000. And then the expenses I'm not going through, but option 1, you can see that, you know, that's with the 5R in place. There's also drainage required, and then that comes to $107,000, and then we have a contingency of 5% on the bottom there. The next option for the full poured in place, you eliminate the drainage, you eliminate the mats that go underneath the swings, and of course the 5R completely. So that brings it up to $159,000, and with a contingency of $7,600 went up as well. So that's the highest price one. And then finally option 3, you have a little bit of everything. You have to bring some drainage back into it. You have to bring the mats back in. But of course then you've got the cost of the poured in place.
What did we spend at Waveland? Do you know off the top of your head?
It was in the poured in place was in the ballpark of 40-some thousand.
All in though, what was the total cost?
Oh, on the whole playground?
Yeah.
Mary,
I want to say 146. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
This
Yeah.
playground looks a little bigger than Waveland. It's a little bigger than
This
Waveland.
one is a little bit bigger. They did extend that area where the swing sets are, of course.
Right.
The structure itself is very similar.
So
in
how is,
size.
I know Waveland hasn't been there that long, the new playground, but how is it working with part 5R and part poured and play? If you had to go back and do it again, would you prefer it to have been all poured and play?
Personally, I would, yeah, just because you add that maintenance factor back in, and long run, I think it's just much easier to maintain. the park, you know, we open the playground near the end of the year.
Right.
So it's hard to say, you know, maintenance, this, you know, that's happened so far. So personally, I think it's a great way to go if you can do the whole thing. It's you know, I understand it's a nice compromise to be able to, you know, split it like that, but it leaves us having to do some of that same thing, and you know, it's nice to get the whole thing done if we can.
I know we've had a pretty mild winter, but did you see anything at Waveland with the 5-bar underneath, like it went away, or we had a lot of rain, or it's, you know?
No, nothing like that at all.
Okay.
Of course, we have to sweep the 5-bar back off of the rubber. That happens frequently because the zone there, you know, there's no curb or anything. So as kids run around, the loose 5-bar will get kicked around. But that's, you know, it's not a major thing, but it's something that we clean up fairly regularly. Of course, if it's wet, it gets tracked up onto the equipment. Nice thing about the poured-in place is the kids can play on it, you know, even if it's raining or right after.
Okay. So staff's recommendation or option they would like the best is option number 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Understanding that, you know, that we're proposing this, knowing that it does go over budget. I didn't talk too much about the recreation fund, but that amount that we're taking out of there is part of the surplus reserve fund. So we have $700,000 beyond what's required by the city.
Okay.
That's what we'd be looking at spending on this.
And at the community meeting, they preferred the full pour and play as well? Okay.
Yeah.
How many people use Townline Park versus Waveland or Everett in terms of ball games played, things like that, the sort of daily typical activities?
You know, I don't know, left already, but the person that takes care of the ball fields and does the program is probably the best to answer that. I know that Townline is growing more and more. I don't know, Mary, if you have any insight on that.
I don't know numbers. I know Steve Hill, who couldn't be here tonight, wanted to kind of get a sense of where does this park use relate to some of the other park uses.
Right.
And that is one of the things a little challenging because it's such a new park. We've had some of our challenges, as you know, with the turf drainage issues, and so we're still kind of building the use, and we eased into it also to let our turf grow in the first year. So it's a little bit of an unknown that way, but we have been moving more and more of our sports out there, and so it is getting, you know, from spring through fall, it's getting use from the sport fields to the capacity that we can. So I think on a weekly basis, you're probably in the tune of, you know, several hundred children that are on the fields, and their siblings, you know, are out there as well. Rentals have been really low because when they ask if there's a playground, there's not a playground, so then they'll pick, you know, Northcroft or, you know, to go down to the beach, that kind of thing. So I think that will enhance it, but it won't be any significant giant revenue stream for us. It would just be some marginal uptick in revenue potential for us from having the playground there. But Steve did want me to mention that, you know, he kind of felt that not really knowing the full use and where the potential is, as well as kind of our budget constraints that he felt we had, he was, he wanted me to share he was comfortable with the kind of the compromise like we did at Waveland with partial surfacing there. So I just wanted to share that with you. So that is why we wanted to make sure we gave you some options to kind of look at that.
The other question I have, and maybe Mary, you'd know, is the pavilion paid off yet?
The pavilion is not paid off. The foundation's still committed to that. They were able, because they had a very successful 4th of July this last year, to get back up to the realm of payback that we had asked for them to be at, which is $50,000. So that's exciting news. They've got Kenny Loggins, which is part of my director's report here, booked for this next year, and we think we're going to have hopefully another banner year with them. But they will continue to pay that portion off. It's not, you know, the city having to assume that at this time yet. So.
Mary, you mentioned drainage, and it reminded me to ask the question that we one of the reasons that we haven't done this sooner is that we decided to tackle what some of us thought was a higher priority issue at Townline, which is the drainage.
Right.
So we spent the money on the drill and fill, I think we called it.
Yes.
What's the report on that? Is it going to work?
I've been talking to the guys that have been working on that field since it was built. So they're the experts. They're the ones that are out there all the time. And they tell me that there is great improvement. We're not ready to say all the problems are solved, but it's still early in the season. That I think given time, as we get into the spring and summer, that's when the true test comes. But they're saying there's definitely a lot of improvement. They're feeling pretty good about it, but we're watching it.
So if we spend this money, does that inhibit us from addressing any further drainage problems there?
No, we do plan on doing some additional treatment to the soil. We're going to continue to do typical aeration, which we do in-house, and we'll continue to add more turfus. That was at the direction of the person that we worked with at Conserve FS. He said it's going to help us if we can continue to add that product in there. So that's the only thing we plan on doing.
And we've got money budgeted for that?
Well, that's just coming out of our regular operating budget.
Okay.
And that's normal ball field maintenance. We aerate anyway, and we still need to seed the edge of that swale. We have all that on hand. We're just waiting for things to dry up enough.
Part of the reason why you do see the proposal here is the ordering of the equipment and expending a portion of these funds have to be done by the end of April, or those remaining referendum money, the $69,000 is no longer available. So that is one of the timing factors that we have here. So if we waited to see if the spring fields were performing, we wouldn't have the window to actually use those funds, to do that either. So.
Okay.
So I listed the recommendations with the three options. I won't read this, it's in your packet, but it's the difference is basically the staff is recommending the approval to purchase the playground in this fiscal year and using that $69,000 remaining in the referendum funds. And then depending on the option with the port in place, the amount of funds that come out of special recreation tax levy, park and land fund, and the surplus reserve for the rec fund. So these are the three options. Again, this is the second one with the full-blown port in place. You can see the expenses, $98,000. Also includes awarding of the contract to the HGAC buy, which gives us about an 8% discount on the purchase of the equipment. And then this is the final option with the combination 5R and port in place.
Can you remind all of us what that special recreation tax levy item is? Where does that money come from?
On any resident's tax bill, they, as part of this whole city's, tax bill that you receive, built into that is a special levy tax that is for special recreation needs, and it can only be utilized for things that benefit Americans with disability or special recreation services. So annually we do collect revenue from that goes into this recreation fund. Those funds then underwrite a variety of things that we do for special recreation needs for our department that benefit the residents, from inclusion services to our member agency contribution with NSSRA, underwrites any of our staff time that works on things for disability needs for the community, and can be used for capital projects like this. A portion of it can be utilized for benefit of individuals, to make it more accessible. So the playground that you saw here, by having some elements that are accessible by the port in place, or have the basically there's a transfer station that at the bottom of the main playground structure. The design that we picked allows them to get out of a wheelchair onto that piece and then up onto the equipment. We have a certain number of ground elements that are all ADA accessible. That Omni spin, he called it the old, what'd you call it? The old Merry-go-round. It's called an omni-spin.
Yeah.
That piece in particular is great because you can get out of a wheelchair and into that and sit with the children who, aren't in wheelchairs to enjoy the playground. So, and the swing sets, as we mentioned, we had a couple swings in there that are ADA. So that if we wish to use monies for that fund, we do take our request through the NSS North Suburban Special Recreation Association Board, and they vet all use of those kinds of special recreation levies to make sure that it's an appropriate use of tax funds for that purpose, and then they authorize the city to bring it through your budget process for approval. So we did set aside $15,000 for the purpose of doing this playground, whichever year it fell, and we have $15,000 identified for that. So.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'm with Steve. I like option 3.
Okay. Me too. All right. Option 3.
I appreciate
No.
your wanting to
No,
minimize.
I'll vote no on option 3.
Okay. On any of them?
I'll vote on option 1. It's the only one. Given the uncertainty of the field and the fact that the pavilion isn't paid off, I think, option 1 is all I could vote for at this time.
What's the price delta again between 1 and 3?
The it's
$20,000?
167,000 versus,
No.
54.
which one are you talking?
1 and 3?
A 1 and 3.
113 to 147.
Yeah, from the
34.
from the it's 113. It's in the middle there. 113 for just 5R, 167 for full poured in place, and 147 for the combination. That's the totals on it.
May I ask a question, Mary?
Yes.
If we did the 5R only, does that preclude us from then getting the
Poured in
special
place.
rack money?
That's a good question.
No, we couldn't. With the 15,000 is an amount that would allow us to still be used because we have enough elements that are ADA accessible regardless of the port in place. It strengthens our, if ever asked about that, it just strengthens our position, but no, we have enough ADA elements to justify 15,000. The, other thing I thought you were going to direction is that if we did 5R, it doesn't mean that we couldn't in the future go and put port in place. However, it is a lot more challenging situation because you have to excavate, change the potential drainage, configuration and curbing that may have to come in at a later date to do the port in place, which will increase the overall, the cost of what port in place would be at that point in time, but it is a future option as well. So
Another question. We have to use the debt money by the end of April,
correct.
but we're not starting the playgrounds until July,
Right.
June, July. Can we purchase the equipment and then just wait until later on to
Yes,
decide
and we did
if
that
we
for
want to do?
Waveland too. We purchased it and held it until our staff were ready for installation, so.
Okay, so we could purchase it and then decide later on, maybe the foundation has another great year to pay back the pavilion, and then we see that the fields are great and that the interest and the usage level is way up, and then maybe we make that decision in May or June versus making the decision right now whether or not we use 5R or port and play.
I would agree to that.
Is that feasible?
Does that
Okay.
work?
Yeah, the original plan was to start construction in July anyway.
Okay.
We were wanting to wait until the use of baseball fields and stuff went down to be less disruptive.
So we'll know then anyway. So, I mean, I don't know what the timing is as far as port and play. How long do you have to let them know if we need that? Or
It isn't a long stretch. The only challenge you could have is if you wait too long, they want to get it before the temperatures get too cold.
Right, but we should know in June how much we'll have a good soccer season, we'll have the baseball season, we'll have everything either over
Rainy
or,
season will be over.
Yeah, we'll know about
Yeah.
the fields.
and really the money in the Route 60 debt is to pay for the equipment, correct? I mean, that's what we're using.
That
We'll
is
be
what
using
we're
that
using.
all up
Yep, exactly. And a small portion
of the special
yeah.
tax levy. Is that okay? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the pavilion should factor in it at all because that's a completely separate topic and the foundation is going to pay that off, but just as the timing, for them to pay it off. It's not holding us back from doing any plans in our capital at this point in time. So that's been taken into consideration already. But from the perspective of knowing how the fields are performing, if there's any other issues there, we certainly could hold off on the surfacing material till we get, closer to that.
okay.
Well,
through that window, so.
And that's fine. I think the aspect of the pavilion and the fields is that every aspect of this park has been way more expensive than we thought to the city. You know, the fields cost more to fix because they didn't get done right. The pavilion, the city's paid for the pavilion and it didn't plan to pay for it. So, I'm just, and then whether the usage is there. You know, if this park is used as much as any other park, it should have a playground as nice as any other park. If it's not, it's hard to justify. But I agree with your thoughts on buy the equipment now and come June or July, decide on which installation method makes sense.
Presumably we've got some place to store the stuff?
Yeah, we were planning on storing it anyway. We'll be keeping it at the municipal services.
No, I like that idea.
I would like to clarify, though, this park, when it was built, came in at budget, actually under budget. The pavilion was built at under budget from what the original cost estimates were. So, with the exception of the field performance issue, that's the new cost that's come on since then. But I mean, from what we told the community and what we budgeted is exactly what we spent actually under that for the initial construction of the park.
But when it was being constructed, we had assumed that a different organization was going to pay for the pavilion, not the city, correct?
Correct. We've been underwriting that at this point in time.
So the city spent more dollars than it had originally planned, is my point.
But they're being reimbursed.
But we're being reimbursed,
correct?
right.
Are
So
they?
they haven't been yet. Hopefully we will.
Right. But, yeah, I just
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
be clear
that's-
that, I just want to say, we didn't overexpend on the budget. We just have, the donor capacity has been on a longer time frame. So, to clarify that.
So what are we voting on, Robin?
So I guess we need a motion to approve the purchase of the playground equipment
For how much?
for $79,519.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
Thanks,
you.
Jack.
Thank you very much. Okay. Next on the agenda is Understanding Our Coyotes by Rob Carmichael.
All right, you get to tell us when
Hey, Rob.
coyote hunting season starts.
No.
And how to cook it.
Oh, gosh.
This is a great
crowd
brochure,
already.
by the way.
It is.
This is awesome.
Well, good.
Yeah,
Glad to
good
like it.
information.
Well, before I start talking about coyotes, I do want to give you a quick recap on our biggest event of the year.
Yes.
Reptile Rampage, which
Yep.
happened this past Sunday. Despite the gorgeous weather, we still were able to bring close to 2,000 people out
Wow.
to the recreation center to see all of
2,000?
the 2,000, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
was a
wow.
great crowd, and we were really pleased. A lot of great exhibitors, and all the feedback from the community was entirely positive. So we had a really great year, and we're real happy with how things went. So we're already looking forward to next year, March 10th, I think, 2013, for the next Reptile Rampage. So stay tuned. But for tonight, I'm going to talk briefly about coyotes. Now, the reason why this subject came up was we over the last month or two, we were starting to get calls from concerned residents. One of the joys of living here in Lake Forest is not only do we have the great schools and parks and recreation, but we also have this beautiful natural landscape. And with that natural landscape, we also have lots of wonderful wildlife that make Lake Forest their home. And there's no reason why we can't all live peacefully together. And so by addressing some of the needs of the community here in Lake Forest, we were able to identify some of the issues and the concerns that people have about these wonderful animals that live right near us. And so I'm going to talk briefly about that. You all have a little informational flyer. Mm-hmm. This will be something that we'll have at the MS building, City Hall, the Recreation Center, and the Wildlife Discovery Center. So if people would like additional information about how to, how to avoid situations and how to deal with coyote issues, there's a lot of information here. We worked with probably about 25 different organizations, municipalities around the United States who've had similar issues and challenges with this topic, and so we were able to kind of cull through all that information and put together a kind of a nice, concise piece of literature. And we'll also have more detailed information on our webpage at www.wildlifediscoverycenter.org. So that'll be a work in progress, but let's talk a little bit about coyote. They're an animal that's been very successful here in North America. They originally Their home range was mostly in the Southwest, but now they're found throughout the entire North American continent. They're extremely adaptable. They are able to handle just about any conditions, habitat, challenges, despite all the challenges they have from humans, whether it's through hunting or putting out poison baits or whatever. These animals are doing quite well, even in the middle of Chicago, where they still thrive and are doing well. Why are they here? Well, obviously we've got this beautiful natural landscape in Lake Forest. We have lots of corridors. Lake Forest Openlands has such beautiful properties that attaches a lot of these corridors together. A lot of these coyotes a chance to move around. We've got beautiful golf courses too, where these coyotes can keep our geese under control and things like that. The food is plentiful here. And one of the good things about having coyote is that they eat a lot of things that we don't want around. Voles and chipmunks and mice and rabbits and things like that sometimes are seen as a nuisance in our gardens and things like that. Well, these coyote are out there hunting, and that's a big part of their diet. They also offer shelter and open space and things like that. So all these elements are right here in Lake Forest. So the key is to figure out is how do we make it work to allow these coyotes to survive, but also make sure that we are able to live comfortably around them. The first thing we have to do is learn how to identify them. I can't tell you how many times people have said that they saw a coyote and they probably saw a fox or maybe a small German Shepherd. They kind of look like a small German Shepherd.
Or wolves.
Or what?
Or wolves.
Or wolves,
We've heard
yes. Or
that
cougar even. We're not going to go there tonight. But they have upright ears, so they don't have floppy ears like some domesticated dogs. Very upright ears, a black tip, bushy tail, as one of the other indicators. Very slender, long muzzle, and golden eyes, although if you get that close to them, you not want to do that to them. But they do have golden eyes. Their typical weight is only about 25 to 35 pounds. They actually look much bigger and heavier than they actually are because they've got a really thick coat. And my little visual tonight passes around. You can touch a coyote.
Coyote fur.
I want to bring a real one in, but I think Mary would kill me if I did. When are they most active? Well, coyotes are active. They can be seen anytime, day or night. But they are primarily what we call crepuscular, where they're open, or where they're active at dawn and dusk. So that seems to be their main activity. Most people won't see them during the daytime. It's usually if they're out jogging on a trail at night or early in the morning, they'll see one around. The breeding season right now, it's February and March. So this is kind of the prime time for breeding. And then the pups are going to be born in the next month or two. So that's kind of the height of their activity season. That's when we typically will see more of the coyote closer to us because they're attracted to certain things around our homes, like brush piles and down trees and things like that. But they are fairly active all year round. Okay. Well, this was working a second ago. Thanks, Tricia. You can just kind of...
We froze.
Apparently the coyotes took over.
The coyotes took over, yes.
So, Rob, I ask you a question. What's your theory on why all of a sudden we're seeing more of them?
It's not, I don't know if it's so much that we're seeing more coyotes. I think that the population densities are still the same. The thing is, with so much development and more construction, a lot of these coyotes are kind of displaced and they're being sort of pushed closer and closer to humans. It's kind of like birds of prey. People oftentimes tell me, gosh, the red-tailed hawks are everywhere. It's not that we're seeing more red-tailed hawks, just that their territory is getting smaller and smaller. And so these coyote are in the same situation where they're sort of, kind of pushed to the brink a little bit. But even despite that, they've been able to adapt pretty well. How do I know if a coyote is present? They have a very distinctive vocalization, a lot of yips and howls and things like that. We'll see if we can get a soundtrack. Okay, that's okay. Most of you have heard those classic yip, yip, yip sounds, and especially when they make a kill or anything like that, or when they're coming back as a group, they'll have a lot of neat communications, and they're very distinctive. Here in Lake Forest, if you live anywhere near open space, you're probably going to hear a coyote at some point, and I get to hear them every night, which is really cool.
Hey, Rob, can I mention something with that? Lake County Forest Preserve District had a feature in their seasonal literature that came out a while back. And I just found it fascinating because I didn't know this, and I had heard coyotes behind my home where I live. And each coyote can pitch its voice to sound like up to 3 coyotes. And so that's one of their ways to, really make it sound like there's more out there and to scare their prey to run towards another coyote or to run in a different direction, is that they can actually sound like multiple coyotes as an individual coyote, which I thought was really an interesting thing to know.
We heard that last night. I thought it was a bunch of kids outside.
And now you know you have coyotes.
Well, that's what my husband said. It's coyotes. We think there was something being eaten last night.
So, but these are typical sounds of coyote. They have very recognizable tracks too. You know, you can see on the left side there's this track here is a coyote track. You see the front paws are very close together, whereas on a domesticated dog, those top paws are splayed out a little bit. For those that really care. As far as what do coyotes eat, well, you know, like I said, this is one of the good things about coyotes. You know, they get a bad rap, but they're actually out there eating a lot of rodents. I mean, almost half their diet are out there eating chipmunks and mice and all the things that we're usually trying to get rid of our property. These animals are taken care of. You know, they do eat other animals like deer and rabbits, birds. One of the things they love to eat too are goose eggs. So I tell you, we all times talk about Canada geese being a problem. Well, these coyotes are actually doing a great job keeping those populations under control. If we can get them to work on seagulls, we're going to be in a really good, really good situation. We're going to have to work on that.
It's better than the giant fan idea we've had.
Yeah, better than the giant fan. We'll work on that.
Well, a question. Since they do provide, you know, as you lay out here, some value. Is there, you know, should the city do more to encourage them? You know,
we actually, there is, because of the natural resources we have here, because of our wonderful Lake Forest open lands, the Lake County Forest Preserve, who's got a lot of properties in and around Lake Forest, there really is already a lot of good habitat for them. We're going to talk about what we can do to make sure that the coyote can have their place to live and that they don't infringe on the humans. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. That'll probably address that one. Our coyotes are risk to humans. You know, the important thing to know is that you know, Cook County did a study between 1985 and 2006. There were no reported coyote attacks on people. I mean, the chances of a coyote going after a person is almost slim to none. They're naturally fearful of humans, and that's the most important message to get across. You know, the problem is when we start doing things like putting food out for animals. You know, whether we're feeding deer or even bird feeders. You know, bird feeders are great, but you also have to keep those areas kind of tidy because anything that will attract rodents is also going to attract coyote. But making sure we're not putting food out deliberately trying to feed coyote, that's the best way to eliminate some of the problems.
Rob, there's an urban legend going around that a human got attacked in Highland Park. They were walking their small dog and then the coyote came after the dog and the human. Is that true?
We don't, it hasn't been substantiated. I too heard of the account. You know, my gut feeling is that, you know, small dogs, you know, for a coyote, small dogs can be possible prey. For larger dogs, it's more of a territorial dispute. When they see even if they see a domesticated dog, that animal is infringing on their territory. Because, you know, coyotes are territorial animals, but I haven't got enough information on that. I had heard of it, but I hate to make a comment without getting all the details. But it is very rare. It's very rare that coyotes even come near humans. They typically will run off if confronted, and there's ways that you can make sure that if they continue to show interest in a human, what you can do, and we'll talk about that just a second. But most attacks are generally associated with people feeding coyotes or feeding wildlife. That's where we usually run into problems. So how do we prevent some of these conflicts from happening? You know, the first thing is be loud, active. You know, throw your hands up if you see a coyote. If you have a pot or pan or something you can clank together. Any loud sound is going to scare a coyote away. It does work. Main thing is always stand your ground. And like I said, the chances of a coyote actually getting to the point where they want to stare at you is very slim. But for the few that do, usually by just simply making yourself look big and looking at that animal, they're going to usually back away. Like I said, it's very rare when a coyote will actually want to pursue following a human. Even a human with a dog, you know, it's very, very rare. You know, if the coyote starts to retreat, you just stand your ground until that coyote is completely gone. If he turns around, you make yourself look big again, and that coyote will usually back off and go away. And we also tell parents, you know, teach your children these same things, you know. And if you're in areas, if you live around in areas of Lake Forest where you're on fringe habitat, where you're around forested areas or open lands or open fields or whatever, just teach your children to, you know, if you see a loose animal, a dog, you know, if you don't know if it's a dog or coyote, to make sure you keep an eye on that and just teach your children to, you know, either come inside or come and get you and things like that. Just mostly it's common sense types of things. As far as protecting your pets, Small dogs, usually are the ones that are the ones that we're hearing about in the news and getting picked off by coyote. Little things like understanding when they're active, once again, usually at dusk and dawn, will help you to avoid some of those negative interactions. Always supervising your dog while it's outside is always a good thing. I know a lot of us have our dogs on the loose, whatever, but the more you can supervise, especially a smaller dog, the better you are.
And Rob, no tethering dogs. Like I know some people have said that they hook their dog up when they're outside, so the dog doesn't run off, but they leave the dog out there unattended.
Yeah.
In essence, the dog has no way to escape from it. So
yeah, you want to be able to.
That's an important point
Yeah, that's
too.
a very important point. You still want to be able to have close supervision of your pets, and even with a fence in your backyard, unless it's a 6-foot high fence, a coyote could potentially jump over even a smaller fence than that. So it's just having a good idea of close supervision of the animals. Not leaving food or water out too. Once again, it's another attractant for a coyote. And also, if you live on a property, you have lots of thickets or big brush piles and things like that. Those are areas that will attract coyote. A lot of people will have these big brush piles in their backyard or big log piles. Anything that can allow the coyote to kind of hide and possibly use that as refuge will be an attractant to an animal. So by keeping those areas tidy, you'll keep those coyote further away from your property. If you do see a coyote, if you're out walking, you see a coyote and you have a small dog, usually just by picking the dog up until the coyote is gone will be enough, or keeping it on a short leash. A lot of people like those really long leashes that extend way out. We usually recommend leashes of 8 feet or less, so that way if the coyote sees a human, it's going to stay away. For cats, we always recommend keep cats inside, not only for the cat's safety, but the fact that cats can also harm the environment by hunting birds and other things. So cats should always be kept indoors. Plus, there's other predators besides coyote that love to look at cats, like great horned owls and things like that. Once again, I already talked about eliminating the attractants. Never feeding coyotes or any wildlife. Bird feeders is one thing. But if people are actually out leaving steaks and meat and leftovers from dinner to feed the coyote, you're just going to be asking for trouble. So don't feed the wildlife. Removing accessible compost and garbage. Even if you have fruit trees, a lot of fruits that are falling could attract other animals, which will then attract coyotes. Just keeping some of those areas clear will help out quite a bit. If you have decks, keeping the spaces underneath the decks clear of debris and clutter. A lot of people like to use that for storage, but the more cluttered it gets, the more appealing it is for a coyote. You can see it's hard. There's a full-grown coyote in this little area there, and it doesn't take much space for them to call that place their home. So. Our goal is to try and promote living in harmony with these animals. I mean, they're beautiful animals. They've been here a long time, and like many other wildlife here in Lake Forest, it's part of our natural heritage. And we hope to be able to do more educational types of programs and teaching kids to respect them and learn more about them and appreciate all the things they do for us. So,
do any of the other communities in the area actively manage the coyote population?
It's a real controversial topic. Right now, not around here, they don't. There are a few places out west in like Colorado that have done it, but the problem is if you cull a coyote, let's say a nuisance coyote, you cull him out of the community, what's going to happen is you just open up that territory for another coyote to come in. So no matter how often we try and remove coyotes, it's kind of like deer also. You can remove them all you want. There's always going to be another one waiting, because they're not really pack animals like wolves. They live in small groups, maybe 4, 5, or 6, maybe up to 8. But then when they hunt, they actually go off on their own to hunt. So they're wired much differently than wolves and things like that. So we'd rather try and teach people how to live together with them and just take certain precautions to avoid negative interactions with them.
And is this the same policy that we have for deer and other wildlife animals in the town?
Yeah, exactly. There are people that like to have those animals right in their own backyard, but once again, when you start feeding deer, you're also attracting predators that like to chase deer. And so, the whole idea is to try and appreciate these animals from a safe distance, because they're here, they're going to stay here, and be able to enjoy them safely.
In your brochure, you mentioned that the coyotes only live to 3 or 4 years. Why is that?
Well, mostly because of human obstacles. Many coyotes get hit by cars. There's a lot more challenges on coyotes in urban, even suburban areas than they are in more rural areas where they could probably live 8, 9, 10 years. Okay. In captivity, coyotes can live 15, 16 years, but it's just because there's so many challenges placed on them.
So it's a man-made issue.
Yeah, it's just too many challenges.
It's very helpful.
Great.
Rob.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you.
Great brochure,
Yeah,
great
Thanks, Rob.
presentation.
Thank you.
too.
Love the brochure. Wonderful. Okay, and our spotlight tonight is on Lake Forest Sailing, presented by Hunter Ratliff. Doesn't have to be done.
Good evening.
Hi, Hunter.
Hunter.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Excellent. So, Lake Forest sailing. Can you believe it? It's that time of the
No.
year again. And days like today are great.
Boats in the water.
Yeah. Is it really already? Perfect. So we offer a variety of different programs, age ranging from 8 through adult. Our summer program is a 10-week program. We kick off this year on June 11th and run through August 17th. We run both 2-week programs all day and 4-week programs for half day, both in the mornings and in the afternoons. We offer programs from the beginning through advanced and racing programs. So here we have a few pictures here of a bunch of prams in the Lake Forest Basin there, and it looks like a few 420s. And then we also have some instructions going on over there on the left there, small pram class. We offer programs in 3 different types of sailboats. For the younger kids, ages 8 to 12, we use the Vanguard prams. We have 25 of them. As the sailor continues through the program and gets a little bit older or heavier or a little bit more advanced with their skills, they move into a boat called a 420. It's 4.2 meters. It's built for 2 or 3 sailors, and it then introduces another sail, and then towards the advanced level, it introduces yet another sail. So it has a total of 3 sails when it's all up and in racing. For the adult programming, we use a Colgate 26, of which the city owns one of them. Our racing team, we try to focus on rules. There are a lot of rules involved in the sport. It is a self-policing sport, so having the young athletes really understand the rules and understand how to use them around the race course and how to control opponents and all of that. Which leads into tactics, which is actually boat-on-boat strategy. And then we get into a bunch of team building. It is a team sport as much as we are sailing for ourselves over the line, but we're all a part of the big Lake Forest sailing team. And with that, the team does a lot of traveling all throughout the year. Actually, we just got back from a month spent down in Florida. Again, developing our skills and continuing to be able to sail year-round. So just taking a look at the numbers over the past 6 years, it looks like. Our program is continuing to grow, which is a great thing. We're up actually 30 from where we were last year, which is pretty solid. We're real psyched about that. And with the mild winter that we had this year, I think it has more people thinking about summer and thinking about getting back out on the water, which is awesome. So we're looking for more growth throughout this summer, leading into in the fall and winter, and then back into the spring. Speaking of spring and fall programming, we offer 2 different programs in the spring and the fall. We offer a high school sailing program, which we actually have opened up to our junior high school as well. And right now we're working with 2 schools. We're working with the Lake Forest Academy and the Lake Forest High School. And we've actually been talking to Stevenson here over the winter on developing a team that they're going to be kicking off in the fall and sailing with us. So we're very excited about that. And actually this past fall, we've had a fair amount of success with the team. We ended up winning the fall championship this year, and we also sent a sailor to the single-handed national championship, and he ended up 6th at that event, which is very respectful, especially coming out of the Midwest. And he was actually just 1 point out of 5th. So I mean, we were hoping for a top 5, but hey, we'll take top 6. This past year, we had 6 sailors on the Optimus sailing team in the fall. So we're encouraging our younger athletes to continue to sail with us, not only in the summertime months, but also in the fall and in the spring. So we're really encouraging them to make sailing their sport. So instead of, we actually had a couple sailors not run cross country or not play football in order to sail with us, which is what we're looking to do. And we also had Lake Forest College come down as well. And actually, Scott Schappe, I know he couldn't be with us this evening, but he's been instrumental in really motivating the college sailors to not just come down for the first week, of which they typically do in the past, but continue on when actually it gets cold and it's not as glamorous as the first couple weeks of the fall season. And actually, they were able to travel to an event this fall down at Northwestern. So that was the first time they were able to do that, I believe, since 2003 or 2004. So steps in the right direction for sure. So this is a photo actually of the sailing team right after we won the fall championship down at the Chicago Yacht Club. So I know that this looks like we're down in numbers in the high school sailing. We graduated a very large senior class last year, and this actually shows we're down 3. So we're continuing to use our summer program as a feeder program for our spring and fall programming in our high school teams, and hopefully with the introduction of Stevenson this coming fall, we'll be able to shoot those right back up. So winter programming, here we have a photo of what we call the Uber rig. It's a large 6-boat trailer. This year we were able to get 8 boats on it, which helped make the winter programming available to more sailors from the Midwest. We were able to do the full junior circuit this year in southern Florida. And we actually had Optimist traveling this year, which was the first time that since I've been a part of the program that we've had Optimist traveling with us, which has been great. Again, we're trying to really target the younger sailors and really have them make a commitment to the sport. We also offer boat charters. We take our sailboats that aren't being utilized in the winter time, and we actually charter them out to either sailors in the Lake Forest area or sailors in the Midwest, so they can sail events down on the southern tour. We also, if our trailer isn't filled, we actually sell our trailer spots to help offset costs to neighboring communities, which is really nice. And then we also offer coaching for all the winter events. So another way that we try to plug the program is we're a part of the Risk Watch program that is offered through the fire department, and we run actually the water safety program through 4 different elementary schools in Lake Forest, and we try to really, what it is the program goes over how to be safe in and out of water, and as well as in and around boats. We work through preschool through 4th graders, and it gives us a great opportunity to plug the program and kind of get them involved down at the beach as much as they can in the summer. So that happens typically in May. So it's perfect. You know, it's a good way to kind of kick off the summer season. Our adult programming. In 2 weeks, we're actually sending my assistant Brian Paneer out to Annapolis to take a certification class. This past year, we actually lost our keelboat instructor. So we've been without a certified keelboat instructor to offer the certification class that we try to run. So this year, with Brian taking the course, we'll be able to offer that course again, which will be really nice. We offer not only the certification class, but we also offer Learn to Sail on the Keelboat through, we call it like a performance boat handling, which is just like an advanced on the boat, getting into more sail theory, sail development, how to tune the rig and fly spinnaker and all the fun stuff that all the small lines that you can play with on the boat, which is a lot of fun. And then we also do private lessons, and of course the Sunset Cruise, which is always a big hit every year. So grab a bottle of wine, pack a little picnic, and we'll take you out on a cruise. And it's really nice to see the sunset over the bluff. So this winter, the Colgate is actually going through a bit of a refit. Our keel the boat is an older boat. It's a 2000, and the boat, we actually got it from the coast where it was kept in the water. So saltwater's pretty aggressive to the bottoms of boats. So we saw the keel was having issues with, there was a crack all the way around it, so the keel needed to be pulled off and refit. And we're also actually pulling the bottom off of it right now. We're able to do all of this work in-house, which is saving us a significant amount of money. But the keel's back on the boat now. You see there on the right-hand side, that's when we pulled the keel out and we reset it, we ground it all out. And now we're actually taking care of the bottom, which is not a clean process.
Where is that, Hunter?
I'm sorry? This
Where
is
is
up
that?
at Municipal Services right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's great that we have that luxury and we have that capability to be able to lift a boat.
You do this?
Yep. Brian and I are doing it.
Cool.
So, this summer, we're actually offering a new program called the Perf Racing Series, sponsored this year by Cruise and Rum. It's going to be every Thursday night, kicking off on May 31st, running every Thursday through Labor Day. And we're going to be using the PHRF handicapping system, which is like the kind of go-to, so we can race different boats together, essentially, and it's all fairly even. Fairly. Right now, we have 5 pre-registered boats. We hope to have 6 or 7, but it should be a great time. So,
Bob, are you racing?
I don't know. I might. You should let the folks up at Great Lakes know as well.
Sure.
They may want to come down.
Yeah, we'd love to play with them.
Relatively
for sure.
close.
Yep, definitely. So just a few things about our alumni of the program. This past year, Jacob Carlin, who was an alum and also actually an instructor, just won the U.S. Sailing Hansen Rescue Medal for his heroic efforts in saving 4 sailors down in the city that their boat capsized and then was full of water and they were drifting offshore. So that was a great thing. And we have a few alumni actually doing the Olympic path right now and are on the U.S. Olympic development team. Annie Hager, Ryan Pesch, and Gordon Lamphere. And we also have alumni doing college sailing and doing summer instructing for us. And so it's really cool to see the alumni. It doesn't end when you graduate high school. So sailing is a lifetime sport, and it's great to see them continuing on with that. Actually, Jacob's the fleet captain of the Vanguard 15s down in the city, which is awesome. So Lake Forest is repping. Right now, we're actually just submitted an application to be one of 12, one of 13 accredited community sailing programs in the country. What that means is we would be essentially the model for what community sailing is in the United States, which is pretty high level. A very small percentage of schools are even eligible to submit an application. So our application just went in late last week, and it's about a 3-week reviewing process. And hopefully we should have accreditation by this springtime.
Great, that's great.
We have a few special events coming up this summer. We're hosting the Junior Olympics, the Upper Midwest Junior Olympic Regatta, which we've hosted a few times in the past. That's going to be July 13th through the 15th down at the lakefront. We're really excited about that, it being an Olympic year. So we're going to try to piggyback a few things off of that, which will be pretty awesome. Just that 2 weeks later, we're hosting our annual North Shore Cup. And that actually is during the Beach Bash weekend, the 27th of July, which we're always excited about. It's a favorite event, and it's actually grown huge. We're expecting about 35 to 40 420s on the line, which is awesome. It just shows that the sport is growing in the area, which is great. This fall, we will welcome back the Halloween Spectacular. As you know, we weren't able to host the event this past year due to the road construction project, which looks awesome. But even more awesome is we're going to have the regatta back. A lot of people were really disappointed that we weren't able to host it. It's something that everybody looks forward to every year. And then we're also hosting the Great Oaks National Qualifier. It's a national intersectional regatta, and It's typically held down in New Orleans, so we'll be hosting the Midwest qualifying event for teams to be able to go to that.
When is that? When is that?
That is going to be early October. The date is not solidified yet, but it's probably going to be that second weekend of October. And it'll be a lot smaller than the Halloween Spectacular. So it's a one-boat fleet, or a one fleet. So the watercraft usage program, a program that we have that's actually growing over the past couple of years, and we're actually looking forward to this year as we have 8 stand-up paddle boards on their way right now. Which we're very, very excited about. We had a lot of questions on why we don't have them last year. So we're looking forward to getting people out there on the stand-up paddle boards.
You give lessons on those too?
Oh yeah, yep. We're going to be offering lessons on the weekends as well, and then also the usage as well of the
How much are you going to rent them for?
I'm sorry, I think it's $35 an hour, so pretty competitive. And these boards, the cool thing about these boards are they're convertible boards into sailboards as well. So we're looking to change over. It was time to change over our sailboards that we have already. So we're looking at all of our options, and we found these boards that actually convert, which are, it's totally easy. It's like turnkey operation. It's pretty awesome. Registration starts today. Or it started today. It can be done easily online at lfrec.com, or you can even show up in person at 400 Hastings Road.
Great.
But I'd be
A
willing
question,
to,
and I don't
yeah.
know if this is, for you, Hunter, or Mary, and I think we got a letter from somebody in the community with more people using boats and sailing and with the rec center doing more for paddleboarding. Have we thought of, anything along providing assistance when somebody who uses one of these boats gets into trouble offshore?
That's an interesting question. Unfortunately, the assets that we have, so the safety boats that we have, are limited in their capabilities, and so are the staff in their knowledge. So in terms of towing or vessel in distress, or, we get a lot of calls on, oh, can you tow me, and I ran out of fuel. Unfortunately, we don't run a towing service. Towboat US does, or you can, call the Coast Guard or whatever. But, obviously if we're out on the water and we see a vessel in distress, it's, just like you would in your pleasure boat, you would go and render assistance to the best of your training. But we do not offer, and I don't know if we will be offering in the future, a rescue service out of our facility. I think it's a great thing to have, especially because the closest thing, I guess, would be Waukegan or Wilmette. So we're kind of in the middle of that.
Well, I'm even just thinking for the boats that are the city's boats.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
the vessels that, if people are renting, one of the 420s or an Opti or something like that, and they're they flip it, the mast comes out, those kind of things, are we able to go offer assistance in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Hunter?
No, thank you
Thanks,
so
it was
much.
great.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Hunter. Thanks for the presentation. That was great. Next is our director's report.
Well, as you just saw, when we do programs, we do them very well. And it's really amazing to me always to see that we can start, at a very entry level, and our participants can stay with us through, lifetime sports and a very high caliber offered program. And I wanted to mention tonight, under my director's report, another program of ours, which I know we spotlighted just recently, but I wanted to mention that our Lake Forest Dance Academy is now an official chapter of the National Honor Society for Dance Arts, and that's a really highly regarded designation for the National Dance Education Organization, and we're the first studio in Northern Illinois to get that recognition and chapter status. So really a great prestigious thing again. Really lends some credibility to the quality of our programs, so especially like our high school students who go on to dance or looking for colleges to do it. It really helps them with, you know, the prestige of our program, and just speaks to the, you know, the quality of our program that is being offered. So kudos to them. And they had a busy weekend also on Sunday because they had their spring show this weekend as well. So hundreds of dancers were involved in that with some, you know, custom choreography pieces and things. So it was really a busy weekend for the rec department. But again, Ignite, another great way of showcasing and allowing the participants in our programs to you know, put what they learn out there for the community to enjoy as well. So I wanted to mention that one. The next thing I wanted to mention was we did have, kicked off today was our camp and summer program lottery and registration. It was a busy day. We're very pleased with early registration on that. One of the things the staff did this year was changed our camp program offerings. Now you can register in smaller section, you know, 2 weeks or, you know, increments or full day, half day. Really mixed it up. We're going to have a camp report for the spotlight for the park board next month. Is it next month, I believe? Or May, maybe. In May. So we'll share that with you, but encouraging everybody to, you know, check out our offerings this summer and really try to listen to what the residents were saying with the needing some flexibility in their schedules, condensed our offerings, and, you know, so we weren't maybe so many things offered for the same ages that were drawing kids into, you know, too many camps, and really kind of streamlining our services this year. But we've had really good feedback from parents so far on that. The third thing I wanted to just mention to you is that the kind of along the sailing, we were approached by the yacht club to revisit the policy that we have on dredging the basin 1 or 2 times a year. Jeff and I met with the Commodore and the Vice Commodore on Friday, and we brainstormed really some of the approaches and options that we were looking at with that. And for the April Park Board meeting, I'd like to bring back a more formal policy on that and share that with the Park Board. We want to bring a couple their ideas we need to pursue a little bit, and we're going to share that with them as well and get their buy-in and make sure that we can come up with a practice that everybody's comfortable with and that can ensure as long as boating season as possible, yet is only, you know, necessary if there's certain triggers that require us to do a second dredging down there. So we're working on that, and you may hear, you know, from different members that we are discussing that. And then Chuck is busy working with the Forestry Department on emerald ash borer management plan. It's a very complex, you know, insect that's in our community. We've been ramping up to begin to address that with the community. We'll be doing a small presentation to City Council on Monday as part of our budget meeting, because it is some money we budgeted this year was to begin to do our tree assessment and begin our management plan. But we will be bringing that program back also to the Park Board, so you can get a good understanding of, you know, what it is that our community will be facing, what will be our options for public property versus, you know, private property, resources that we can offer up to the community, and those kinds of things. So staff are busy putting that together as well. It is going to be not a short-term fix. This is a long-term problem that we'll be wrestling with in the community. So we're trying to make sure we come up with an approach that's going to address that for the long haul for the community. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention is we do have a special meeting of the Park Board next Tuesday. It's here at City Hall at 6:30. It's the Forest Park Master Plan, which will be presented by the Forest Park Project Board. As you know, this has been about a little over a 2-year process to this point, but they've been refining the plan based on feedback from the conceptual plan that we looked at. City Council approved back in May, a year and a half, a little over a year ago. So they've been doing a lot of work, all their subcommittees, et cetera. So they will be presenting that Tuesday night to the Park Board. And the Park Board's focus will be looking at impacts from a recreational perspective. Does the plan, you know, address our needs from park use and community service for the lakefront? And then the following night will be a presentation to the Historic Preservation Commission. And their focus is really going to look at, does this plan fit well into the historical character of the neighborhood that the park resides in, and does it meet their their certificate of appropriateness in relationship to some things from a historical perspective, materials, that kind of thing. So we will be taking public comment at both meetings, Tuesday and Wednesday night, and we're looking forward to seeing the presentation by Stephen Stinson, who is working on revising that plan. So I'll have packets out to the board on probably late in the week for you guys to get a chance to review that. So that's it for my comments tonight. Is there any questions on any of those items?
Just on the Emerald Ash Borer, I'm glad to hear that we're going to talk about that coming up, and it's something that I've thought a bit about, but it literally hit home this week in that I have a tree in front, an ash tree in front that I've been watching for a while, and saw some signs that the bark was flaking and there were woodpecker damage and all that. So I contacted Peter Gordon, and Peter's great. He came out the next day, looked at the tree, confirmed that I do have early infestation, but he also looked at my neighbor's trees, pointed out 4 across the street, 1 just south of me, pointed another house in the neighborhood that had 17 trees removed. And Peter shared with me this is a huge issue, and it could impact thousands of trees in town. And I just am now really starting to think about it. And so I think anything we can do to educate the community, and as you said, Mary, what are the signs, what are the resources, what options do we have, and that's all good stuff we need to be talking about. But
right.
I'm just now starting to realize how big this is.
Right.
Time to plant elm trees again.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary. Any comments by the board members on anything? Okay, now's the opportunity for anybody in the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda, or one public, okay?
Please say something.
If there's anything, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion's approved. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming.